If you are over 40 and taking creatine by simply tossing a scoop into a glass of plain water on an empty stomach, you are likely wasting the supplement and missing its most profound metabolic benefits. Most men view creatine strictly through the lens of sports nutrition, a tool for 20-year-old bodybuilders looking to retain water and add size. But when you cross 40, the biological landscape shifts dramatically. The primary challenge your body faces is no longer about maximizing raw athletic performance. It is a battle against a systemic decline in cellular energy production, a gradual slowing of the metabolism, and an accelerating loss of functional muscle mass. Creatine is not just a muscle builder, it is a critical component of the cellular energy currency known as adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. When you consume it incorrectly, without understanding the specific cellular transporters required to move it from your bloodstream into your tissues, it never reaches its destination. Instead, it circulates uselessly and is excreted, leaving your cells underpowered. This underpowered state is the hidden root cause behind the stubborn belly fat, the afternoon energy crashes, and the agonizingly slow recovery times that many men attribute simply to getting older. It is not a lack of willpower or laziness. It is a fundamental breakdown in how your cells generate and manage energy. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the mitochondria, the power plants inside your cells. Every single biological process, from contracting a muscle during a workout to the firing of neurons in your brain, requires ATP. Think of ATP as a cellular battery. When your body needs energy, it strips a phosphate molecule from ATP, converting it into adenosine diphosphate, or ADP. At this point, the battery is dead. To recharge it, your body needs an immediate source of phosphate molecules, and that is exactly what creatine provides in the form of phosphocreatine. In your 20s, this recycling system operates at peak efficiency. Your body naturally produces enough creatine, and your cells are highly receptive to it. But as you pass age 40, multiple cascading biological changes occur. Your mitochondrial function naturally declines, meaning your cells become less efficient at generating ATP from food. Simultaneously, a process called sarcopenia begins to take hold. This is the age-related loss of muscle mass and function, which subtly accelerates every decade. Because muscle tissue is the primary storage site for creatine and the main driver of your basal metabolic rate, losing muscle means your body's total capacity to store energy and burn calories shrinks. Your systemic energy pool drops, and your metabolism slows down. This decline creates a compounding negative cycle. When cellular energy is low, your body experiences this as a constant state of low-grade fatigue. This is why you might find yourself struggling with persistent brain fog in the middle of the workday, or why a workout that used to take you 24 hours to recover from now leaves you sore for 3 or 4 days. The brain is one of the most energy-intensive organs in the human body, consuming about 20% of your total daily energy. When cellular ATP levels drop, cognitive processing slows down, resulting in that distinct afternoon mental fatigue. In the muscular system, a lack of efficient ATP recycling means your workouts become less productive. You cannot stimulate the muscle fibers deeply enough to trigger growth or preservation, which accelerates sarcopenia. As muscle mass decreases, your insulin sensitivity drops. Muscle is the largest sink for glucose in the body. When it shrinks, the sugar from the food you eat has fewer places to go, leading to elevated circulating insulin and a much higher propensity to store calories as visceral fat, the dangerous stubborn fat that accumulates around your midsection. This is where the relationship between creatine and fat loss becomes incredibly sophisticated. Many men fear that taking creatine will make them look bloated or fat because of water retention. In reality, proper cellular hydration is entirely different from subcutaneous fluid retention. When creatine successfully enters a muscle cell, it pulls water inside the cell with it, a process called cellular swelling. This intracellular hydration is not bloating. It is a powerful anabolic signal. It tells the cell that it is structurally stable, stimulating protein synthesis and preventing muscle breakdown. More importantly, recent metabolic research has revealed that creatine plays a direct role in the thermogenic activity of adipose tissue, specifically brown and beige fat. Unlike white fat, which simply stores excess calories, brown and beige fat cells are highly metabolic. They burn calories to generate heat through a process called uncoupling. Scientists have discovered that creatine acts as a key driver in this thermogenic cycling within fat cells. When your tissue is saturated with creatine, it enhances the energy expenditure of these fat cells, effectively increasing your metabolic rate from the inside out. It optimizes glucose metabolism by encouraging the translocation of GLUT4, a specific transport protein that moves sugar out of your blood and into your muscle cells without relying excessively on insulin. By improving insulin sensitivity, you prevent the metabolic environment that allows stubborn belly fat to accumulate. However, achieving this state of cellular saturation requires navigating the complex biology of how creatine is absorbed by the human body, which brings us back to why most men over 40 are taking it completely wrong. Creatine cannot simply diffuse through a cell membrane on its own. It relies on a highly specialized transport system known as the CRT1 transporter. This transporter is strictly sodium dependent. This means that for every molecule of creatine that enters a cell, it must be accompanied by multiple sodium ions. If you are chronically dehydrated or if your electrolyte levels are depleted, the CRT1 transporter cannot function efficiently. Many health conscious men over 40 actively restrict their sodium intake out of a fear of blood pressure issues, or they wake up, drink black coffee, and take their creatine in a fasted state while already mildly dehydrated from sleep. Without adequate sodium present in the extracellular fluid, the creatine you ingest sits outside the cells, unable to cross the membrane, and is eventually filtered out by your kidneys. Furthermore, the transport of creatine into your cells is highly sensitive to the hormone insulin. When insulin binds to its receptor on a cell membrane, it activates a signaling cascade that increases the activity and density of those sodium-dependent creatine transporters. This is why taking creatine completely fasted or on a low-carbohydrate diet often results in poor absorption. Research demonstrates that pairing creatine with a modest amount of carbohydrates or a combination of protein and carbohydrates significantly increases the amount of creatine that actually gets retained in the muscle tissue rather than being wasted. The rise in insulin acts as a key that unlocks the cellular doors, allowing the sodium and creatine to flood inside. If you are mixing your creatine into plain water while fasted, or worse, taking it right before entering a sauna where you will sweat out your essential electrolytes, you are creating a worst-case scenario for cellular absorption. The heat and sweating deplete your sodium levels further, completely shutting down the transport mechanism at the exact moment you want it to work. To fix this and stop wasting the supplement, you need to transition to a protocol that respects aging biology and cellular transport mechanics. First, the form of creatine matters immensely. The market is flooded with expensive variations like creatine ethyl ester, buffered creatine, or liquid formulations, all claiming superior absorption. However, independent clinical data consistently points back to high-quality, micronized creatine monohydrate as the most reliable and biologically effective form. Micronization simply breaks the creatine down into much smaller particles, which dramatically improves its solubility in water and prevents the gastrointestinal distress, cramping, and bloating that men frequently complain about with cheaper, coarse powders. If the powder settles at the bottom of your glass as a gritty residue, it will likely settle in your gut similarly, drawing water into your intestines and causing discomfort instead of being absorbed into your bloodstream. The ideal protocol for an adult over 40 involves a daily consistent dose paired with the necessary cofactors for transport. You do not need an aggressive loading phase of 20 grams a day, which often causes digestive upset and unnecessary stress on the system. Instead, A consistent daily dose of 3 to 5 grams is sufficient to reach cellular saturation within 3 to 4 weeks. To maximize the sodium-dependent transport system, this dose should be consumed with a dedicated source of electrolytes and a meal. Taking your creatine alongside your largest carbohydrate-containing meal of the day, or with a post-workout shake that includes both protein and easily digestible carbohydrates, leverages the natural insulin response to drive the nutrient into the cells. Additionally, ensuring you have adequate sodium, either from a high-quality electrolyte powder or a pinch of seawater salt in your beverage, provides the necessary ions to fuel the CRT1 transporter. Consistency is far more important than exact timing, though consuming it post-workout may offer a slight edge due to the increased blood flow and heightened insulin sensitivity in worked muscle tissues. If you miss a day, your cellular levels do not drop immediately, but chronic inconsistency will prevent you from ever achieving the metabolic benefits of full tissue saturation. You must view this not as a pre-workout stimulant, but as a long-term cellular nutrient. When you implement this proper protocol, the systemic shifts over several months are profound and extend far beyond basic muscle preservation. By restoring cellular ATP levels, you effectively turn back the clock on your cellular energy age. You provide your brain with the metabolic fuel required to sustain focus and clarity throughout the evening, mitigating the cognitive decline and mental fatigue that derails productivity. In your muscles, the improved energy availability allows you to maintain high-intensity contractions during resistance training, which is the single most effective stimulus to combat sarcopenia and protect your skeletal structure as you age. The preservation of that lean muscle mass maintains your basal metabolic rate, allowing your body to naturally burn more calories even at rest. Ultimately, the true value of understanding this science is about preserving your long-term health span, physical independence, and metabolic resilience. Aging is inevitable, but the rapid decline in vitality, the accumulation of metabolic dysfunction, and the loss of physical capability are highly manageable. When you treat your body not with superficial hacks, but with a precise understanding of its biological mechanisms, you stop fighting against your physiology and start supporting it. Creatine, when approached with this level of scientific respect, ceases to be a simple gym supplement and becomes a foundational pillar of longevity, helping you maintain a lean composition, a sharp mind, and an active, capable body well into your later decades.